Hello everyone, my name is Curtis and welcome back to another video. As you can probably guess from the title of this video, I'm going to be going over update 26 that Pavlov has released a day before I uploaded this video. There's quite a lot of nice things that they've added, and I think we definitely need it for quite a long time now, and I'm glad they actually added it into the game. So for this video, I'm going to go over some of the stuff that they added into Pavlov, like sounds, features, new weapons and stuff like that, which are quite nice. And there's even a tiger tank now that they've added into the game. Like, this is a big tank, honestly. It's kind of terrifying. I'll go over it later on in this video. But, other than that, let's begin going over some of the new stuff and features that they've added into Pavlov VR. First off, many weapons now have some new sounds. Remember how before there was this thing you could do to make a Glock go from burst fire to fully automatic? Well, they fixed it now, so here's me trying to do fully automatic. It doesn't work anymore. They completely buffed it. So, apparently, that's not gonna be good now. This is how some weapons sound like with the new sounds that were added. They have also added a new weapon to the game, which is called the AK-47 Shorty. Looks like an AK-74 to be honest. It has 25 damage just like the regular AK, but the problem with this one is that if the enemy has a helmet, it won't kill them instantly. It will act just like a submachine gun. It will knock the helmet off and you have to shoot them again in the head to get them. The barrier is rather interesting with what they added to it. Not just to add new sounds to it, but I want to see if you can notice this once I shoot it. Did you see that? Look at the muzzle and the tripod now. The muzzle, or I should say the actual barrel, now moves back like an actual Barrett, and the tripod shakes too, which is quite nice if you tell me about it. Other than that, everything else on the Barrett is the same. There's a new weapon that will compete with the G3, and that is the new SKS. It's rather interesting design, and it's semi-automatic as you would expect. And by default, it comes with a nice little ACOG, which is actually quite nice. I like it. And here you can see that I'm out, but the mag doesn't come out. And, well, there's a reason for that, and that is because it's clip-fed. Kind of like a World War II bolt action. Plus, it sounds amazing, too. Also, it's just like a pistol. You can just click on the button to cock it or whatever, and it does that thing. I forgot what button it is, but I'm on Quest 2. All the modern shotguns have some nice new sounds to them as well. Along with the new sounds, the double barrel shotgun now requires more effort to reload. As you can see, the old method doesn't work anymore. That is because now you just gotta precisely put it in, like so, and you can shoot. If you play Wild West Clown Infection, it's gonna be quite interesting for you. Moving over to the World War II weapons, we have the trench gun. This is a nice little shotgun. It was actually used for law enforcement IRL for quite a long time now, and it's really nice the way they added this into the game. Looks nice too. A nice thing they added into this weapon is that you can actually slam fire it. Basically what you do is you hold the trigger while you pump it and it'll shoot that way too. It's quite nice. You might have remembered from my old video that bolt actions were hard to aim with. Well, I kind of take that back now because there's now scopes for each of them. This is something that we needed for quite a while now, and it will help balance the bolt actions much more. The scopes will be on there by default, just like the SKS comes with a free ACOG on it. This is how the crosshair on the scope of the Springfield looks like. The Kar 98 has a new sound, which honestly makes it seem more powerful now. And this is what the crosshair looks like for the scope of the Kar 98. The most in the gun has the same sounds, but as you can see here, it has its very own scope as well. This is what the crosshair and the scope looks like. Honestly though, I can definitely see people using the bolt actions a lot more now since they have scopes. The Lee Enfield, one of my favorites for sure, has his very own scope as well, as you can see here. It's rather big, but hey, it actually fits it pretty well in terms of looks. This is what the crosshair looks like in the scope of the Lee Enfield. Something was off about this sight for some reason. Apparently I was aiming the target in between the vertical and horizontal lines in the crosshair, but apparently that doesn't do anything. What I did here instead was I put the target in the top of the vertical line and I was starting to get my shots better. Which I think is weird, but it's definitely something I should state just in case. Speaking of scopes and sights stuff like that, they've actually added red dots to pistols now. All the modern weapons and the 1911 will be able to have this as an option. But the World War II weapons like the Webley or the Luger cannot have this sight on them, thank God. They also added an angled red dot sight. And bear with me here with this crazy looking example. But if you had like a big scope or an ACOG and there's enemy close by, you would usually have a hard time aiming at them. This is where the angled red dot sight will come in, and it's rather useful, honestly. I like that the fact that they added this into the game. Also, it's not really a red dot, it's a green triangle, but they called it a red dot for some reason, so I just went with it. This is going to be very useful, and overall, I just love the fact that they added it into the game. It's something that we've needed for a while as well. Bayonets were also added into the game, which I think is kind of nice, and the trench gun has it, but it does not come with the weapons by default. Usually if you want to get them in World War II game modes, you would have to get them in those supply drop things, unless the game mode specifically allows you to have them or not. This is how it works, just like a knife, stabby, dead. Simple as that. Rather useful. This is going to be a big game changer in World War II related team deathmatch and push and stuff like that. If you swing the weapon with a bayonet or throw a knife, they'll have this swish sound. It's a nice little thing. It's kind of nice. Bayonets will be available for the M9, Lee Enfield, M1, the Mosin, and the trench gun. I love this trench gun. There's also the RG42, which is a new smoke grenade. I've never seen it before, to be honest. It's just like any other smoke grenade. You pull the pin, you prime it if you want to cook it, and you can just throw it, and it does its magic. But they've also changed the smoke effect now, so that it has a more natural flow, if that makes sense, instead of it being like a random puff of smoke just expanding. You'll see it'll actually rise up, and the part that goes up, it turns to a bit of a particle effect, and it fades away, which is kind of nice. Big items like this tank mine, for example, can now minimize when you put in your inventory, including other big items. And speaking of which, now that I'm at it, this is some sort of tank mine. I could not exactly figure out what it is, but to place it, you put it down the ground, press trigger. We'll do a nice little dig effect, and it will turn to a silhouette, as you can see here. I could not get it to go off, but I'm pretty sure that the left one is a tank mine, the right one is a bouncing Betty. I believe the enemies cannot see the silhouette, but I'm not exactly sure. You can now replenish World War II ammo by using a World War II ammo crate, and to use it you can just simply throw it down. It'll stand up, open up, and you'll see a circle show up, in which you have to stand within it so you can go ahead and be able to get the ammo. So now you do not longer have to rely on dead enemies or teammates so you can continue fighting on the battlefield. You can just simply grab them, throw them on the ground for your allies, and you'll be able to use them. It's actually kind of neat if you tell me. Once fully used, or if it's been sitting in the exact same spot for about 2 minutes, they will close up and simply just despawn. Painkillers now have a new effect. As you can see here, I'm injured, and all I have to do is just take the painkillers just like you would normally. You'll see this green thing show up around your eyes, and that's how you know you're being healed. It's pretty nice if you tell me. They also added bandages, but I could not figure out how to use these. I'm assuming that these are probably used to heal your teammates and not you, but I'm not exactly sure as I could not figure this out. They also added a new syringe model for the game, and it works the exact same way. They also added these nice new medkits that works just the exact same way as a World War II ammo crate would. You throw it down, open up, and you'll get healed within the circle. You can also heal yourself by pressing trigger on whichever hand you're holding it on to heal yourself as well. Once fully used, or if it's been standing for 2 minutes, it will close up and simply despawn. This tiger tank that I'm going to show you right now is big. Like, I mean, look at the Sherman tank next to it, a comparison. This thing, I thought it was an artillery or something due to the size of the barrel and that muzzle bell thing. But no, it's a regular tiger tank. And, I mean, just look at how wide these tracks are, too. It's ridiculous. And although it's big, it is actually a lot tougher than the other tanks, believe it or not. For comparison, I'm going to shoot this Sherman tank so you have an idea how tough the other tank is. The new Tiger tank takes about 6 shots to disable it and 8 to completely destroy it. Meanwhile, all the other tanks take about 4 shots to completely destroy them. So it's rather safe to say that if you're playing Rush and you go in as an anti-tank to take down a Tiger tank, then you're probably going to need a buddy to help you out because that thing is tough. The next question you're probably asking yourself is, what does the Tiger tank look like inside? Well, let's hop onto the driver's seat, take a look. And right off the bat you can see, actually it's a really nice interior and whatnot, but there's a steering wheel and it works just like the truck would. However, when I move it forward and try to steer, it doesn't actually steer. It turns a little bit, but then it just goes straight. So it's not really working, as you can see. But just like the regular tanks, you got those 2 sticks at the bottom here, so you can just drive it that way as well. Other than that, that's pretty much it for the driver's seat of the Tiger tank. As we make our way to the machine gunner's seat, here you can see that they did a nice job with this side as well. You got all kinds of communication, radios on the left, ammo on the right. Doesn't function, but it's a nice little thing to add, and a little fire extinguisher. This machine gun is the exact same one that's on the other German tank, and it's nothing special really, but it does the same damage and everything. Also, I should state that even though the Tiger tank here is a lot more tougher than the other 3 tanks, the weapons are the exact same and there's nothing really different about them in terms of an advantage. So it's probably safe for me to just say that there's no huge advantage except the fact that it's a lot tougher. Moving over to the turret here, as you can see, it's really big compared to other tanks like the Sherman and whatnot. They're rather small in terms of the turret, but this one is really big. You just load it like any other tank, throw that in, close it, and here are your controls. You turn the turn left right with the top one here, and the one on the right here you can just turn it up and down. I'm just gonna shoot at this Sherman tank here. You press the red button on the top, bam, you shoot that way. For this thing to destroy a Sherman tank, it needs 5 shells for it to be destroyed. So, as I mentioned earlier, there is no benefit of using the Tiger tank in terms of firepower, but the only good thing about it is it's a lot more tougher and durable than the other 3 tanks. Besides the whole thing with the steering wheel, everything else in this tank is amazing. I absolutely love this thing, and it's also kind of terrifying at the same time, so we'll see how this turns out in the battlefield out there. Also, I've never heard about this nor seen it before the update 26 happened, but when I launched Pavlov, I noticed that now they have an anti-cheat. It's called Easy Anti-Cheat, and it's a good thing that they've added this into Pavlov, so now we don't have to worry about hackers as much anymore. And that'll be it for today's video. Hope you guys found it useful. I do apologize if I did miss anything for this update. There was just so many things that were added at once, and I could not cover everything in one video. However, I will be revisiting this in the near future so I can figure out stuff like how the mines work and stuff like that, because I have yet to figure that out. Also, since you guys found the other aiming video I did rather useful, I'll be going ahead and working on the aiming guides for the German and Soviet World War II weapons in the next 2 videos. So if you want to see those, I suggest you subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications while you're at it. It will truly mean a lot to me. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.